No, I got the chassis from someone that started it in the 1980s and then didn't go further. So it was a beautiful job from the wheel castings, the cylinder fabrication, and then I finished it off. It was 5 years in the workshop, but I basically worked 3 years on it when actively. The other 2 years we were building other projects for the club and electric locos. So I keep records. So typically I spent, I think, 270 days in the workshop working on the loco, typically 6 hours or so a day.
Okay, and then looking at the back here, you obviously machine all of those components.
Yes, it's a scale backhead. There's 11 valves in the original, 22 universal joints. And on the Model 1 don't need them all because you don't have a shaking grate and passenger steam heating for the passenger coaches. But most of the others are for like the injector ones, the cellar valves for the injectors, the vertical injectors, they're all made. The side glasses are slightly overscale, but typical, with shut-off cocks, but just slightly overscale so you can see water level better.
And these injector brakes, are they functional?
Well, it's a steam brake valve, and it also has two cones for the vacuum ejector. They work, but for brakes, at 30 psi, you can still run the loco, and then you don't make a vacuum. But so on the other side is a steam brake valve. The real loco was steam braked, and the passenger and tender, or the coaches and tender, was vacuum braked. But so it had a small steam brake valve fitted to the ejector. So the steam brake valve is a little bit bigger, bolted on there, so the loco brakes and the tender brakes operate actually on steam.
I see, even these windows are fully functional.
Yeah, they actually, one make them in two halves, mill them, and then you solder them together with a little bit of soft solder, and then you slide in a little thin polycarbonate, don't go glass, but you can do the glass as well. And then the little brackets I make on a small CNC.
Yeah. And then the turbine on the other side,
Yeah, that's actually a model or a scale. It's not functional. It's I have one that's working, but it's lost wax cast from a beautiful model by a jeweler that also built models. So he typically cast the kit. One can make it functional, but there's no reason to spend all that time. But it's actually a beautiful scale with some of the little bolts and brackets and hinges.
Yeah. But you tested that works on air, right?
No, the other one I had works on air, but then the bearing rusted. I didn't put a stainless or a ceramic bearing in.
Okay.
But this one I decided just to make dummy.
Okay, just so that everyone knows, the other loco was a 15F.
Yes.
And this is a 16DA.
Yes.
The castings for the valve gear and the front end?
Now everything's fabricated. That cylinders are fabricated from mild steel machined assemblies. These are silver soldered together. Usually I TIG weld them together and then press fit or Loctite stainless steel, not stainless, cast iron sleeves in it. This one actually have a bronze valve sleeve with PTFE, carbon filled PTFE for valve bobbins.
And of course those are the piston sleeves, they're not the slider.
No, it's piston valves. But so the piston valve sleeve is bronze, phosphor bronze. But the rest is fabricated, like that valve head bracket, the red one.
Yeah.
It's fabricated from a solid piece of steel turned milled out.
Okay. And the steam reverser?
Well, I tried on my 15F to get it to work. I was so proud of it. It worked on compressed air. But on steam, like when this loco will run at 30 psi. Now at 30 psi, that steam reverser just do not operate the valve gear. So I didn't bother. It works. It is like steam valves in it. But this one, I didn't drill the oil, the locking cylinder valve passages and so on. It's just dummy. But the other one, I drilled them and they work with the glands. But I get them to work beautifully on air, make the steam piston a bit bigger inside, as big as possible, and screw in the ends. But then if you go to 25 psi, then when you run light, you never get it to operate. So I stopped making them to really work. So I disconnect it sometimes from the reverser. And the other, so the scale rods are just too light to operate the reverser. So I have a hidden reverser there at the bottom.
And then, of course, you make your own boilers.
Yeah, these are all steel boilers. I tend to go a bit thicker steel purely for the weight advantage, because it's 200 nominal bore seamless shed 40 pipe is 8 mm wall thickness. So I do the rest in 8 mm as well. Typically the Australian code that has a few big stays, I use 3/4 inch or 20 mm stays, like the Australian code likes. And then you only have to fit 4 or 6 stays on a side. It makes the work much less. Do all the roots with TIG and then expand the tubes in. Some have copper tubes, others have steel tubes. This one has copper tubes, 5/8 OD.
Oh, did you do this one with copper?
Copper tubes, yes.
And your 15F
was hydraulic steel tubing.
Yeah.
It also works. I find no difference in steaming characteristics. This one doesn't have superheaters. The 15F do have superheaters, and I didn't really find a difference in the steaming. They still go the same. They go well, steam well. They have a wide firebox, so nice big fire.
Look, I'd ask you what you all made, but you made everything. So,
yeah, I cheat. I buy the pressure gauges.
Oh no, that's a cop out there. No, I'll cut that out.
No, so on this loco,
You're not a real model engineer if you don't make your own pressure
gauge. Yeah, sorry for that. You need to own a Myford or build a Simplex, or No, so the only thing bought really on this loco is the pressure gauge. I don't think to try and make those, but all the fittings and brackets and is made.
How did you make that chimney, by the way?
The chimney is made out of solid. It's just turned, and then the bottom part is sculpted with lots of effort.
Yeah.
I make all my chimneys like that. The bigger ones out of 150 OD block of mild steel. Cut it. There's other options to CNC them, but all my chimneys so far, I cut out of a solid and then sculpt the bottom with a bit of a grinding disc, and here and there a little bit of final sanding and filing, but mostly the dome. This dome I made with the CNC. I made the pattern and then I pressed it out of copper.